The gentleman about town has performed a service of notable worth in preserving and giving definitive form to the wealth of latter-day folklore, which is contained within the covers of Immortalia. American folklore has of necessity sought cover, driven by the undiscriminating tirades and sadistic tyrannies of the Mrs. Grundys, who are an irremovable part of this melange we know as modern civilization. Undoubtedly, much material of permanent literary value has been lost. Literary worth in folklore depends on just one thing: its spontaneity. Folklore is no hothouse plant to be fertilized with refined chemicals and maintained at constant temperature when the winds of reality blow. On the contrary, folklore seeks its nourishment in the fertilizing essences of nature and springs triumphantly forth, no matter how fierce the winds or how rigorous the frost. Just as some beautiful plants seem to grow in opposition to all efforts of the gardeners and the horticulturists, so does folklore thrive in the face of determined efforts of the sentimentalists to deny its very existence. Folklore is, after all, nothing but the literature of the people. It, more truly than any more polished side of literary effort, reflects the average standard of all the people at the time of its currency. The very fact of its existence is dependent upon the willingness of the people, not of the literary guildmasters, to keep it alive. Literature with a capital L has all the stabilizing factors of the printed word and of learned tradition to perpetuate it. Folklore lives only in the voices of the people themselves, the source from which the material in this book has been drawn from. Cover to cover, it is not the purpose of this book to override good taste. Indeed, the fact that it is issued not for public sale, but for subscribers only, is a definite and willing concession to the prevalence of the same good taste which keeps a courtesan and a courtier alike from announcing their morning ablutions to an incurious world. However, good taste has nothing in common with good folklore. One is artificial, the other natural. One is the essence of refinement. The other is the rawest of raw material. The one is the glossy veneer, all external handsomeness. The other, the sturdy fabric from which all strength is drawn. In fact, almost all good folklore, and by that I mean all real folklore, is in distinct bad taste in drawing rooms and among the niceties of society. It is as much an outcropping of underlying fundamental strength as those deep-rooted rocks which are the farmer's despair, even though they be the ribs of the earth. These Immortalia are homely. They are imaginative. They are couched in the most vigorous of language. They are crude in literary form, oftentimes. Yet they are what people, just ordinary people, undistinguished and unknown, have been thinking and saying and singing for their own delectation during the last 75 years. This is not a book for the tender-skinned, nor for those excellent persons, and their name is legion, who sincerely prefer to keep their thoughts within the strict bounds of conventionality. It is, instead, an effort of serious contribution to the history of peoples, and a book for the enjoyment of those who can prize the lily and forget the odorous yet fertile dung heap from which it springs. It is a book for those who acknowledge that the dung heap is as indispensable in the scheme of biology as is the drawing room, and that in its way, when the dung heap has virtues and can produce immaculate lilies. If you are squeamish about reading the Anglo-Saxon biological unisyllables, if you prefer to believe that children come out of the blue rather than as a result of biological processes, if you feel that nothing between neck and knees should even have a name, then close this book now and read no further. But if, instead, you have an enlightened sense of humor, if you admit the truth about the human body in its essentials as readily as you do about it in its extremities, if names to you are titles by which factual things are known, if profanity is to you the name of a class of words and not an implication of polluting horrors, then prize this book above rubies, for it is for you that it has been made. The gentleman about town asks me to make acknowledgments on his behalf to the many ladies and gentlemen who have assisted him in this compilation, and to express his regret that circumstances deter him from giving them their proper share of thanks by naming them here. Signed, The Gentleman from Out of Town.